In this video, I'm going to show you how to resize an image or increase the canvas size so that you have more space to work on. So first, we're going to talk about image size. This image, if you don't know how big it actually is, you come up to Image, Image Size. And when you click on it, it tells you everything that you need to know about the dimensions and resolution of this picture. For instance, this picture that we're looking at here is 1200 pixels wide and 1200 pixels tall. It's a perfect square. At 72 resolution, that makes it 16 inches by 16 inches. So if we were trying to print this at 100% size, we would need a piece of paper that's at least 16 inches by 16 inches. In case you don't understand how we got that number, I'm going to bring up my calculator real quick. Okay? And it's 1200 pixels divided by 72 resolution. So we're going to go 1200 divided by 72 pixels per inch is 16.66 inches in both directions. Okay, so if we want to resize this, if I'm making a website and 1200 pixels by 1200 pixels is too big, I can simply change them up here. And all I would need to do is change the width. Let's say I want to make this half of its size. All I have to do is type in 600. Now, because this button down here, Constrain Proportions, because this has been checked on, as soon as I changed it from 1200 to 600, the height changed with it. So I go back from 1200 to 600, this changes as well. If you uncheck Constrain Proportions, and I want to make this 1200 by 600, then what's going to happen is we are not going to have a proportional scaling. It's only going to shrink the height by 600 pixels. So when I click OK, I get that. We're going to undo that. We're going to come back to image size. Okay, we're going to keep constraint proportions on, and also, while you may not encounter this all that often, you want to leave scale styles on as well. Because in that other video where we did layer effects, if you put a stroke on a layer, then what will end up happening is if it was a 3 pixel stroke and then you decided you were going to scale your picture down, that 3 pixel stroke is going to stay 3 pixels and it's going to become proportionally larger than the picture that it was applied to. Long story short, just keep scale styles checked on. It'll save your butt in the long run. Until you know what it does, then you can decide whether or not you want to keep it on. But for the most part, just keep it on. So one of the things you need to know about this is when you're changing it, let's say we're going down, right? Almost 75% of its original size from 4.12 to 1.03. But down here is often overlooked, and this is resampling. We're telling it we want to resample the image, and that's a smart thing to do. Resampling tells Photoshop how it reinterprets the adding or losing of pixels depending on whether you enlarge or shrink your document. So right now it's just doing automatic. Forget this bicubic stuff. We're not going to explain that part. Okay? We have the sharper, which is best for reduction, which means that it's going to reinterpret or resample those pictures to make sure that the pixels stay sharp and your picture stays sharp when you shrink it. You may need to smooth it because you can't just spontaneously generate more pixels, so you need to smooth out the space in between the pixels when you enlarge. If you have gradients, then you use bicubic. Bilinear just sits here all by itself with no explanation of what it does. So we are going smaller. Remember, we started at 4.12, we're going down to 1.03, so we're going to do best for reduction. If we went in the other direction from 1200 to 2400, we're going up 4 times as large. We're going to use best for enlargement. We're going to click OK. And the picture still looks, for the most part, pretty awesome. You can use Control-0 to zoom back out again. And if you notice in the upper left side of the window, that little tab that has your file name up there, it has a percentage number, 38.5%. And that is the zoom factor that we're at right now. Additionally, you can play with your actual canvas space. If this is part of a larger composition, or this is the start of a larger composition, and you want extra space to play, because remember, this is all dead space over here, but if I want to actually do something with it, I actually need to increase the space of my canvas. So what I'm going to do is come up to Image and go to Canvas Size. Now, this is what I like about this program is this is not only negotiable, but negotiable in multiple directions. Now I've got my 16.6 inches of space. I'm going to change it to pixels. I want to double the space that I have to play with on this document. And to do that, all I'm going to do is change it to 2400 pixels. Now, it registers that we are changing the pixel width, okay? So it will expand both to the left and to the right of my document. When I click OK, I get whatever I changed, which was another 1200 pixels, split between the left side and the right side, and now I have all this extra space to play in. I'm going to undo that. If I go back to my canvas size, however, this is going to be the left side of my composition, and I need an additional 1200 pixels of width, and I want to go to the right, then this needs to change, because these are my anchors. And when I did it before, it added an extra 1200 pixels split as 600 pixels to the left and 600 pixels to the right. But if I click here on the arrow that's pointing to the left, it changes my anchor to the left side of the picture, which means no pixels will be added to the left side and all the pixels will be added to the right side of the canvas. So I click OK. And now, unlike previously when I had 600 pixels on both sides, now I have 1200 pixels just on the right side. And that works in any direction. So if I need to add another, let's say only 200 pixels, but I need to add it to the top, I'm going to change this to 1400, and I'm going to anchor the bottom. No pixels will be added to the bottom. Click OK, and now I have an extra 200 pixels of space on the top. If you have any questions about this, let me know. This is another one that just you have to learn over time.